Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Know Your Future. This is the next session. In the previous sessions, we talked about different houses, the planets that are used in making a birth chart, the duration of each planet in each house, like how long does each planet stay in each house, and how do they transitions. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, please go ahead and watch it in this playlist. Today's episode is about Dasha, Bhukti, and Antara. What do we mean by that? How are they used? What it is used for? Okay. Now, this is all according to the Vedic astrology. Now, it is called as Vimash, Vimashati, okay, or Vimashotri. Now, it has a cycle of 120 years based on maximum possible lifespan for an individual. Like we are assuming maximum possible, a human being can live up to 120 years. So that whole 120 years is divided into different cycle. Okay. So how did it come from? The term Vimashotri comes from Sanskrit word Vimashati, which means 20, and Shati means 100. So indicating 120 years. Now, the system is based on moon's nakshatras, okay? And it divides the lifespan of an individual into periods ruled by each of the 9 planets or the Navagrahas. Now, each of the 7 planets and the 2 lunar nodes, okay, uh, has its own period or Mahadasha in the cycle. The lunar nodes are Rahu and Ketu, and 7 planets or 7 influential. Rather than using the term planets, I would say in astronomical bodies, like because we include sun and moon also. Okay, or I can call them heavenly bodies. Okay, not necessarily planets, because sun is not a planet, moon is not a planet, but they do influence, right? Has its own period, which is listed below in this 120 cycle, 120 years cycle. Now, how do you calculate? The starting point of the dasha or the sequence for an individual is determined by the position of the moon at the time of the birth. So that's the start, like what dasha is going on or where the moon is placed. Okay, it determines the first dasha. So dasha is what? It's a planetary cycle that starts on the placement of the moon. Okay, in the star at the time of birth. Now, dasha, since it's 120 years, it could be further subdivided into smaller sections, which we call it as antara, or rather bhukti, sorry, bhukti. Now, each bhukti is also what you call, it's a period of the same navagraha, okay, which goes, so let's say within moon, if let's say it's the lunar dasha, lunar dasha going on. Now within lunar, what effect does Mercury have? So like, it could be a combination of um, moon, Mercury, and say Rahu. So which means now, so what you're doing is taking a long period, dividing it into sections of bhukti, and bhukti is further, that period is further subdivided into antara. That antara could also be further subdivided. Okay, you can go up to 5 levels, 6 levels, depending on how what you call, how much do you want to predict at a granular level. Okay, so if you want it, let's say you can predict even for what's going to happen in the next hour. Okay, if you keep on dividing. So it is all how these planets or how these heavenly bodies interact with each other. Like how does Saturn and Jupiter interact with each other, or how does Saturn and Rahu interact with each other, or rather how does Mercury and Ketu interact with each other. Okay, so at a broader level, it's divided into 3 parts. So dasha is the longest 120, consisting of all the 9 heavenly bodies, Navagrahas. Then each dasha is divided into further breakdown into same cycle of the heavenly bodies, the 9 heavenly bodies, that is called as bhukti. Each bhukti is again further subdivided into the same cycle of the navagrahas, which is called as antara. Now here, but or how does it used? So when you analyze your patrika, like let's say if you want to read the patrika, you will have to see. So let's say for monthly, how is your month going to be, or how is your week going to be? So this is what is taken into consideration along with what in your birth chart. What are the current positions of the planet? Like which planet is sitting in which house? That plus this Dasha Bhukti Antara, like what cycle is going on, what Bhukti is going on, what Antara is going on, and it could be further down too. Okay, you can predict uh, a weekly forecast, daily forecast based on that, and also the planet, how they are eyeing each other. More details are to come in the coming videos, but that is how generally you predict somebody, like what is going to happen. So which planet is sitting in which house, plus what is the current dasha, what is the current bhukti, what is the current antara, or further subsection. Okay, or I think it's pratyantar dasha, and you can go on dividing into further level. So Surya Dasha goes for 6 years, Moon Dasha goes for 10 years, Mars or Mangal goes for 7 years, Rahu 18 years, Jupiter 16 years, Shani 19 years, Mercury 17 years, Ketu, the south node of the moon, 7 years, and Venus or Shukra is the 20 years. Okay, so the longest is the Venus, 20 years. So depending upon which Dasha, Bhukti, and Antara, and again for Bhukti and Antara also same 9 Navagrahas are used. Okay, so what are the general influences? Each planet's period has its own characteristics and influences, shaping the various aspects of life, such as the health, career, relationships, and spiritual growth. The nature of the planet, whether it's ascending, descending, whether it's benefic or malefic, its placement in the natal chart, and its relationship with other planets, right? Like how do each planet, whether they, like I think Saturn and the Sun do not get along well together. So if they are facing each other or something on the same house, it's going to be a nightmare for the person, right? Okay? Because they'll always keep on fighting. So relationship with other plants all contribute to the overall impact during the dasha. So this is how we use it to predict the future, like how it's going to be. Okay. So in conclusion, what it is, it's a comprehensive tool in Vedic astrology for understanding the timing of events and the nature of experiences in an individual's life. So, by analyzing the dasha periods and their effects, astrologers can provide insights into personal development, challenges, opportunities, and helping individuals navigate their path more effectively. So, that is all for this. Do listen to the video one more time so that you get a better understanding. Okay, all right, that is all. Thank you. See you all again in the next lecture.